Oh, hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevon Cameron. Thanks for joining In the Cut. This is the show that gets you up close and personal with BN and all of our happenings. As I mentioned, am Kevon Cameron. I am the lead organizer for Black Nonbelievers of New York City. This show is production of Black Nonbelievers, which is a 501c3 organization headquartered in the Atlanta area. We connect with Blacks and others and allies who are living free of religion and might otherwise be shunned by their families and friends by providing caring, friendly, and informative community. Instead of accepting dogma, we determine truth and morality through reason and evidence. The mission of Black Nonbelievers, of course, is to provide secular fellowship, nurture and support non-believers in coming out, encourage pride in non-religious identities, educate the public on the history and current state of non-belief in the Black community, and of course, organize events and charitable causes. BN welcomes all regardless of age, gender identity, sexual identity, national origin, or racial identity. However, our content and work prioritizes Black non-religious voices. And now I would like to welcome my co-host in, if she's on screen, Tina Marshall from our Charlotte affiliates. How's it going, Tina?
Very good. How are you, Kevon?
I'm good. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a minute. How have you been?
I've been hanging in there, doing the work.
Yeah, doing the work. You want to tell people a little bit about what you've been doing lately, because I feel like your work specifically is very relevant to the current state of our country.
Yes. So I am an abortion defender. I go to my local clinic here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I stand up for people that are coming to the clinic who have made the choice to have an abortion and to terminate their pregnancies. The reason I'm out there is because of extreme right-wing Christians that are out in front of the clinic to jeer, to taunt the pregnant folks as they walk across that parking lot, and I'm there to protect them, to answer questions, handle issues, and walk them to the clinic doors. And it is definitely an atheist issue. Every single atheist should be out here because we should be outraged at this point. We are getting ready to go into a theocracy if we don't watch it. But I'm also out there encouraging people to vote. We saw what happened in Kansas. Hopefully it'll happen here in North Carolina. We are the last state in the Southeast where abortion is still legal. And it has been because of all of the closures in the last couple of weeks. Our clinic is inundated from people from all across the South. So that's what I'm doing.
That is cool, Tina. That is cool. You're really doing the good work. Can't wait to see you in person on the cruise. You coming to the cruise this year?
You better believe it.
Okay.
I'll be in Chicago. I'll be in Chicago too for Women of Color Beyond Belief.
Cool. But I'll see you late September 30th through the 2nd. Yes, I'll be there as well. Do you have anything coming up for your Charlotte group that you want to promote?
Yes, we are having karaoke. And it'll be, I believe it's August. It's a Friday night. I believe it's the 21st. But we're going to a Black-owned restaurant here in Charlotte, and we're going to be doing karaoke. Looking forward to it.
All right, cool, Tina. Thank you so much. I just want to remind everyone, while I have a chance, that as I mentioned, the Women of Color Conference, Women of Color Beyond Belief, coming up in Chicago this September 30th through October 2nd. Tickets still available for that in Chicago. Join us there. Mandisa will be there. Sakibu Hutchinson, who we had on just 3 weeks ago or so. They're both the organizers of that conference, along with Bridget Crutchfield from our Detroit affiliate. So check that out. Also, BNCCon coming up this November 26th. It's a week at sea cruise convention, so check that out. Me and Tina will also be there, and a bunch of other people, of course, Mandisa. So check that out. All right, Tina, thanks for telling us what you have going on, and I think we're going to get to our guests real quick. Thanks, Tina. All right, so we have a couple of guests coming up for you today. Let's see. We have here. Now I'd like to welcome our special guests, Dr. Leo Igwe and Clive Arude and Lola Tinudu from the Association of Black Humanists. Of course, Leo Igwe, a board member of the Humanist Association of Nigeria and Humanists International, holds a BA and MA in philosophy from Seat of Wisdom Seminary, Owerri, and University of Calabar in Nigeria, and a doctoral degree in religious studies from the University of Beirut in Germany. He is a postdoctoral research fellow at the Department for the Study of Religions, Islam, African Publics, and Religious Values at the University of Cape Town in 2021, with research interest in witchcraft and atheism / non-religion in Ghana and Kenya. Leo directs advocacy for alleged witches and campaigns to end prosecution in Africa, and chairs the Critical Thinking Social Empowerment Foundation that works to introduce the teaching of critical thinking in primary schools. He has been leading the campaign for the release of the jailed Nigerian humanist Mubarak Bala, Lola Tinudu, I hope I'm pronouncing these names correctly. Lola Tinudu, I'm sure they'll correct me. Lola Tinudu, originally from Nigeria, has lived in the UK for over 32 years. She is a legal representative for refugees and migrants, a job that she has done for over 21 years now. She is a human rights activist and a staunch supporter of the LGBTQ community, as a feminist and an unapologetic atheist. Lola is a devout. Lola was raised as a devout Seventh-day Adventist. The Seventh-day Adventist Church. Her grandfather was one of the earliest SDA converts in Nigeria. At one point, she was a street preacher and a church worship leader. However, since leaving the religion, she has been a proud Black, beautiful sheep. She's been proud Black and beautiful sheep of her family, Black sheep of her family, sorry. Lola is the co-founder of one of the organizations of the Association for Black Humanists, and former London Black atheists. Clive Arude is also a co-founder of the Association for Black Humanists, formerly London Black Atheists, came to UK with his parents when he was very young at school. The law required that they had to have an act to collect daily worship. Questions about religion were allowed, but religion itself was never questioned. It was simply taken for granted that religion was true. As an adult, Clive trained as a Roman Catholic minister. Many years later, some children asked him, "What is science?" That innocent question led to his journey of discovery and critical thinking that resulted in him becoming a co-founder of the organization. So with that, I would like to welcome all three of our guests real quick. Clive, Lola,
hello,
and Leo. Sorry for any mispronunciations. I'm really bad with names, but I appreciate all three of you being on the show today. Clive, I feel like we've spoken before. Have we met before?
Well, I'm very friendly, so it always looks like I've spoken to people before, but I think it's our first time, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So as we always do, I want to go around a bit, and I want you all, since I'm pretty sure I butchered a lot of your bios, I want you to go around and just tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you came to your current journey, your current situation in non-belief. We can start with Lola.
Hi, thank you very much for having us. As you read in my bio, I'm originally from Nigeria. Um, I don't know why. I've lived in the UK for most of my life, majority of my life, but my Nigerian accent is still going very, very strong. I think I'm going to keep it for the rest of my life. Um, yes, I was raised as an Adventist, Seventh-day Adventist. My grandfather was one of the earliest converts in Nigeria. So my grandfather, my dad, everyone in the family was an Adventist, and I took it very, very seriously. Um, and when I came to the UK, I joined the Pentecostal movement. I left the Seventh-day Adventist Church for, I think, for about 10 years or so. And then my mother came to the UK to visit me, and then she forced me to go back to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and I continued with it. I was happy going back because a lot of the church members, we grew up together in Nigeria, so it was like going back home in a way. And yes, I was a street preacher in London. Um, I was one of those who find on the street clapping and making noise and, bashing people about religion. And then, but since I was young, I'd always wondered why was from childhood really, why was Seventh-day Adventist the true religion, not just Christianity? Why specifically? And the Seventh-day Adventists, they had this passionate hatred for the Catholic Church. So the Pope was evil. I couldn't understand it, and I grew up in a small town, an Islamic town, and they were lovely people. This was before Nigeria became something else with religion, with Islam, I'm sorry to say. But they were very lovely people. And I used to wonder, why would they go to hell? What are they doing so wrong? So I had those questions at the back of my mind throughout. And then in 2005, my dad came to the UK. My dad, although very religious and elder, he still loved science. And he used to enjoy watching documentaries on the universe. So one day he forced me, I was not interested. He forced me to sit down to watch a documentary, and then it was about Big Bang and everything. And it made sense to me. And my dad said something while we were watching it, that Jesus will come through when Jesus will come back again, it will be through the Orion Nebula. And for the first time, everything just, and he saw the look on my face. He recognized what had happened. And, that was the moment. Everything fell apart. But it took me time to leave church, because church was not just about faith, it was about the community, a lot of things that, those of us who have been in religion will understand. And at first, I wasn't too sure what I was. I was checking on the internet. If you don't believe in God, who are you? And I started looking around, because sometimes I think it's just human nature. You wanted somebody similar to you from your background I was looking for Black people who were non-believers. I couldn't find any. So I joined Central London Humanists, and it was in one of the events at Central London Humanists that I met Clive, and then it was the same feeling. It was the same discussion that where Black people, they must be somewhere. And that was why we decided on starting London Black Atheists at the time, and then we became Association of Black Humanists.
Yeah, that's really cool. I want to get back to the street preacher thing in a minute, but before then, I want to give let's go to Clive.
Right. So thanks. I must say, my journey is started really as a religious a member of a religious family in Nigeria. I would say that according to statistics, about 95% or more of people in Nigeria are either in Christian camp or the Islamic camp, and then the balance, they're not atheists. They're usually in the um, African religions, the ones that worship ancestors or one form of spirit or the other. I think those of us who are now atheists, I don't even think we count as a rounding error in terms of how many of us there actually are. It's very small. So everybody's brought up as pretty much everybody's brought up in one of the main religions or the other. And it was the same with me. The first thing, one of the first things I remember about school is that the teacher told us whoever is able to recite the Lord's Prayer, they will get this particular gift, a particular prize, probably some chocolate or toffee or something. But I remember coming back the next day and being able to recite the Lord's Prayer off by heart, So the indoctrination starts very young, and I must have got my prize, but I don't know. As I say, I can't remember the details, but I still remember how to say the Lord's Prayer. Anyway, so we left Nigeria as a family when I was quite young. We came to England, and in England was more or less the same thing, except that you had the school had to have an act of daily worship, and so every day was like a church day. Then on Sundays we had regular church, and after church time finished, and there was Sunday school, so you had to have all that going on as well. I think the only day you really got a break was Saturday, because luckily I was a little bit able to play football, so I ended up in the school team, and so I got a break playing football for the school on Saturday. So there wasn't the religious thing going on, but so the point is that the whole thing about religion is that it's made to look absolutely normal. It's the right thing to do, and it wasn't until and then later on, as I grew up, I became an adult. I did this training to be a Eucharistic minister in the church, and so I would help the priest out, read some readings, and give out the bread and the wine, and so on. And then, if a particular member of the congregation wasn't feeling well, I'd go to their house, do a small service, and give them the Eucharist and things like that. So that was just how life was. I was a committed and active member of the congregation. But then, as I said, some children asked me, "What is science?" And I didn't want to just say, "Oh, it's physics or chemistry or this or that." So I said, "Okay, I'll look into it." And by this time, the internet had got going, so I typed it in, and it came out with all these links. Some of them were predictably what you'd expect if you ask what is science. And science is something which is repeatable, testable, verifiable, falsifiable, and all that kind of stuff. And then it talks about Popperian falsifiability and it talks about all sorts of different concepts. The fact that you've got methodological science and so on. So you get to understand what science is a lot more. But there were also other links, telling you about cosmology, for example. How did the world actually get here? So that was very interesting, and I read it, and of course, if you can see how the cosmology brought around about the universe and our solar system and therefore the world, then where this story, this narrative undermines your belief in religion, because obviously you can't believe both. It's one or the other. Did God just say magic the world into existence, or is there a natural process? And the natural process was more relevant and interesting to me because there was evidence for it, whereas there wasn't evidence for the religious narrative. And then how did all the various species of animals and plants get here? Again, was it a case of all things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made them all? Or was it that there is speciation going on, which Darwin analyzed in his On the Origin of Species by means of natural selection? So I read that book, and again, it gave me tremendous insight. But again, it undermines the religious narrative. So I got to a point where I had to decide: do I keep on believing the religious narrative, or do I switch over to scientific way of doing things, where there's one, the religious narrative had no evidence at all, and besides, it was basically magic, and the other, there was evidence for it, and I could trace the evidence myself, even if I couldn't, understand every little bit of it. But it's obvious that there's evidence for it. So therefore I switched over to the scientific point of view, and I had to leave the religion behind. But it was a very traumatic period because I've never taken drugs, so I don't know what it's like, but I can imagine just how people who take drugs feel if they have to quit cold turkey. It was really traumatic and stressful. But I got through that, and then the next thing was, what do I do now? Because as far as I was concerned, I was the only one in the world who was who didn't believe in God. So, so I started looking, and I found they were called British Humanist Association. They had set of beliefs which seemed to resonate with what I believe, so I joined them. But British Humanist Association turned out to be like an umbrella body. They don't do many meetups, so I never saw anybody. But then I found Central London Humanists, who are like one of the branch organizations, and I joined them. And I met later on. I met Lola in there, but that would have been it. I would have been happy with Central London Humanists. But any time we went, I only saw the same 2 or 3 black faces. So I said, this can't be right. London has millions of black people. Where are they? So um, then we decided that we should start an organization to encourage black people to come out and to, instead of hiding away in the closet as hidden people trying to keep away from controversy, join a black organization, and so that you will at least see familiar faces, and you're not going to be judged or criticized or whatever, because it's very difficult in some cases for Christians to come out, and of course for Muslims it's even worse. They have they sometimes coming out is a death penalty. So we started London Black Atheists, which has morphed into Association of Black Humanists, and that is pretty much the story of how I got to where I am now.
Okay, cool. And Leo, what about you? What's brought you to this place right here?
Yes, thank you, Kevin. I think it's almost the same kind of story. I started off as an altar boy, and from there I was sent to the seminary because I was too young to decide. So my mom sent me to the seminary. I got enrolled, and I started the training to become a Catholic priest. And in the course of that, I noticed that what they were teaching in the seminary was different from some of the religious practice at home in my village. And at home, at home people practice a mix of Christianity and traditional beliefs. And I was somehow confused. I wasn't sure which one is true and what to believe. And people have a way of invoking one at one particular time and invoking the other at another time. And of course, you go to the seminar, they make you understand that it's Christ and the Christian religion is true, and that others are demonic. You come back home, people also try to practice that thing that is demonic. So as a child, I was confused. And but my going to the seminary made me, I took out some time to begin to ask myself which one is true, or is all of them false, different brands of the same falsehood. So my seminary training, at some stage, I studied philosophy. It was actually when I started studying philosophy that I said, oh no, this can't, it's not working. I read a bit of Bertrand Russell. We studied logic, philosophy of religion. But one thing is that the priests were making conscious efforts to get us to believe in the nonsense. They present something that nobody could even believe. Now they try to force you to believe it. So somehow, it was giving me a lot of mental stress. I mean, for instance, who is the father of Jesus? They start talking, in between their mouths. They can't give you a very clear answer and all that. Okay, what happened? Okay, Jesus died and resurrected. How? What do you mean by resurrection? And all that. What happened? So, even the religious teachings, forget about the answers they give me to my question. The religious teachings, sometimes they sounded horrible, like the issue of Abraham trying to kill the child. And they would just find a way of glorifying violence. Oh yeah, somebody is doing it in the name of God. Or they will say holy war. And you ask yourself, which one is holy? Which one? When does a war? What makes war holy? I had this kind of conflict, and I found that religion was actually, giving me some mental stress, because it's always difficult for me to make sense of what is right and what was wrong and all that. When you kill in the name of God, they praise you. You just need to mention that, oh, this thing I'm doing in the name of God. If it's evil, everybody will say, oh yeah, it's good, because that will take you to heaven. And again, this idea of afterlife, I was like, it didn't make sense to me. And I was wondering, okay, you go there and you spend time internally doing what? Singing songs, wearing white garment, virtually the same clothes you're going to wear for how long? They say eternally. So when they explain the religious worldview, for me, it was like nonsense. It's like a childish thing and all that. But they want you as an adult not only to believe it, but as a priest, you also have to preach people and convince them. No. It was too much for me. So that was why, after studying philosophy, I said, hey, I went to the bishop. I said, please, my Lord, I want to go and think. That was what I told him. Yes, because I couldn't think. I couldn't make use of my brain while I was there. So I needed to move. So by leaving the seminary, it gave me that space and that I wanted, and I was relieved, So that was what and now when I came out, I said, okay, instead of just staying alone and being bombarded by people were telling you, oh, you are demonic or you have blackslided, they keep using all sorts of means to make you to understand that you have done something wrong. I started the Humanist Association, and I've been active in the Humanist Association. And I must tell you, look, let me be clear here. I started Humanist Association out of a selfish interest, yes, because I needed a place I could actually be seen. I needed an environment. I needed a narrative I could speak to. And when I say it, I won't be lying to myself. Okay. Then, of course, I needed people like me, like Lola said and Clive said. I needed people I could have discuss with and laugh. When somebody says the resurrection, you laugh at the person because or ascension into heaven, and they will draw a human being suspended in the air and all that. And you ask the person, where lies the gravitational force? The person will start talking nonsense, talking between them. So you laugh at religious nonsense and religious absurdities. So actually, that's part of the reason and all that. So I needed people of like mind. So, and all this while I have been very active is because, sorry, if I leave the humanist movement, I'll be socially dead. Yes, I'll be socially dead. I won't be able to relate with people with whom I can really connect with. So that is why, some people say, oh, you've been active for too long. It's because that is the only way to remain alive as far as I'm concerned. So So that is my journey, and that's my story. Briefly.
Yeah. I mean, I believe me, I get. You say it's selfish, but sometimes it's necessary to be selfish to create a space in which sometimes people, like I'll tell people like, yeah, I don't really have religious friends, like, you know, I don't really like basically most of the people in my life are atheists, and like, really, you're like, it's just like, how do you have a conversation? Like if we're having a conversation, we're talking about, let's say, like the abortion issue, or we're talking about like LGBTQ rights. How can I maintain a friendship with someone whose views are so radically different? You know, it's not like I don't want to have different types of people in my life, but like, it's just like when you try to have, like what you said, sensible, logical conversations, it's like I can't. And some people are like, well, we just don't talk about, like, you don't talk about important things. You consider these people your friends, and you just don't talk to them about important things. Like the world is on fire, and you just ignore that. And that's interesting. But I really relate to a lot of what you're saying, especially the immigrant parts. I don't have the accent of my home country. Sound very, very American, but I'm okay with that. But one thing I wanted to get back to you, Lola, in addition to the street preaching thing, what phase of life exactly were you in your belief or non-belief when you were doing that, and what was the mentality that you had when you were going out there? Was it sort of like, yay, I'm gonna save some souls, or was like, this is what I have to do, or what were you feeling?
It's a very difficult, because sometimes I think back. I think back about my journey as a believer, and it's very difficult to give answer. But I genuinely, I started street preaching in Nigeria. I didn't start in the UK. In Nigeria, when I was doing it, I really believed in what I was doing. I believed that Jesus was coming back soon, and everybody needed to be ready. And I was just following. I was following orders because we were told to go out and to save souls. And and anything that I do, I'm naturally a very passionate person. I'm very, very emotional about things. So when I was a believer, I had all my emotions in it, and I had all the fears, that we were meant to fear, and I feared for others. So I wanted to save them, and I was very proud of myself. When I was doing it in the UK, it was similar. The church, the church asked us to do it. We needed to save souls, so you were doing it to save. But sometimes I go, it's a very, very difficult one. Sometimes I go back and think, I don't know. I've asked myself a lot of questions about how I was as a believer. I was not a live and let live believer. I was very forceful. With people around me, I wanted them to believe exactly what I believed, and I feel ashamed and embarrassed about it when I think about it now. And sometimes I wish I could go back, but I don't know them, the people that I preached to let them know I was wrong, to apologize, but I don't know them.
Yeah, it's weird because as an atheist, we can't exactly go on the street and preach. There's nothing really to preach. Like, you can't really tell people, okay, go open up a science book. But yeah. So one thing I wanted to open up to all of you is, and anyone can really jump in. How do you feel that religion has plagued the African diaspora, especially Nigeria?
I was going to ask Dr. Leo to step in there because he has continuing presence in Nigeria. But there's no doubt that it has been devastating. But I'll step back for a moment, and that's
Dr. Igwe.
Yes. Well, Nigeria has been in the news for the wrong reasons and for religious reasons. So it is not something that will be very hard to look, or if you want to really say it, it's just there. It's there in terms of how much Nigeria is almost being consumed by religious extremism, especially Islamic extremism. And of course, there are other layers of destructive impact of religion, as in witchcraft-related persecutions. People murder their relatives in cold blood, and when you ask them, they say, oh, they saw them in the dream, that they went somewhere, and this prophet said that this person is responsible for the problem and all that. So, but to situate your question is that religion is virtually cultural universals. We see religion in India, we see in the US, we see in Asia and all that. But when it comes to Nigeria and by extension Africa, we are seeing a situation whereby the religions that actually having a lot of negative impact or huge impact on the region are religions introduced by outsiders, by foreigners. And these are foreigners who, from their history, enslaved Africans, yes, colonized Africans. And they left behind a religion which Africans have embraced, internalized, and are using it not only to hate, but also kill and destroy themselves. And I'm going to cite two examples. One is the case of Deborah Samuel. This is a young girl in a school where people should freely exchange information and ideas. And they were in a WhatsApp group. And of course, what we have seen here now is that every Tom, Dick, and Harry is a cleric. You just don't need to go to seminary or go to any special training. You just need to see a vision and all that. So you see schools filled with quasi-clerics preaching on WhatsApp, preaching in the bus, and everywhere is an evangelizing platform. So I think somebody made a post, a religious post, an Islamic post, and she just said, look, take this away. This should be where we should be preparing questions for our exams and reciting and doing something relevant to what brought us together in the school. And that was it. And that was the last remark she made, apparently, when it comes to that issue. The students mobilized, beat her to death and burnt the corpse. Yeah. So, and what happened eventually? Many prominent people in the North refused to condemn that. In fact, a prominent politician, posted, a note of condemnation, I think, on Twitter, and later deleted it due to fear. And others, when they say they murder, they will put it in a kind of inverted comma, as if it's not murder. And that's exactly what I told you. You just need to say, I'm murdering somebody in the name of Allah, and they will hail you. And look at what happened. When the suspects were arrested, taken to court on a lesser charge, at least 34 Muslim lawyers came out to defend. As opposed to, when it comes to Mubarak, no Muslim lawyer actually stepped forward to defend Mubarak, who was accused of blasphemy. So what am I saying? Religion has poisoned the situation. Religion has provided Africans a weapon to keep hating and keep destroying themselves. And it is important we begin to highlight this destructive impact, especially as expressed in the narratives of Islam and Christianity. And, because we are getting to the point, a lot of people are now afraid to speak their minds. And you know what? There is no humanism without free thought. There is no humanism without free expression of ideas. There is no humanism without a free mind. But we are gradually getting into a situation in Nigeria where religion is stopping Nigerians from expressing freely their minds and thought. And in other words, we are going into a kind of a cage. We're going into a kind of another slavery. We're going into a kind of another colonialism of a more destructive impact. Because imagine a mind that can't express itself freely in this 21st century. What is going to be? So we are at a very dangerous situation as a result of religion. And that's why it is important that atheists, free thinkers begin create platforms where they begin this process of trying to rescue, trying to redeem, trying to, take back, as they're saying in the politics, Nigerian politics these days, our continent, and tell the religious organizations, religions are our creation. And we can criticize Prophet Muhammad. Either we criticize Prophet Muhammad, or you take Prophet Muhammad back to where he came from. Take that prophet back to that culture. If you want it to be in our own culture, Africans must say what they think about Prophet Muhammad. Is he a terrorist? Is he a pedophile? Is he a prophet? Is he a prince? Is he a pauper? We should be free. We should be free to say that. Otherwise, we are going into a worse form of slavery that will have more destructive impact on Africa and the African continent than what we have had in our past histories.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's not quite the same, but it's very similar here, where a lot of Black people they fall into the religion thing, and you mention to them, hey, listen, this was given to you because you were slaves, like, and it just doesn't cut through. I don't understand how you could, as a Black person, especially Black people who are very pro-Black. They're Black people who are they're all about the pro-Black stuff. Black History Month comes around, Juneteenth comes around, it's very pro-Black, but then they still go to church and they still, read this book given to them through colonization, through slavery. And I don't understand that. But you mentioned the Mubarak case. What is the current status of what's going on with that?
Well, Mubarak is in jail.
Right. Is there any movement on that, or?
Yeah. Well, I spoke with him yesterday because he calls me from prison, and we try to look at what efforts are being made. We are trying to appeal his case, and we're also trying to lobby, use other means to see whether he could be released. But of course, we know that the Islamic establishment in Nigeria, the political establishment of Islam in Nigeria, they are happy with the situation with where Mubarak is. So we are trying to use the court process by trying to appeal that judgment and see whether they can throw it out and get him released. We are also trying to get the politicians to understand that this doesn't speak well for Nigeria. It doesn't speak well for Islam, because part of the things I've been writing is that, hey guys, this does not speak well. I'm shocked that you people are celebrating the imprisonment or even threatening to murder somebody who made a post critical of your prophet, when Islam thrives and has thrived in Nigeria, criticizing traditional beliefs, criticizing other lifestyles. Now, meanwhile, you are now telling us again that we should not, and that when you do it, it's not like when you do it, we are angry. When you do it, you are dead or you are in jail. It is outrageous. It is outrageous. So we are also using the social media to try to educate, to try to persuade and all that. But of course, we are up and against a set of people who have made up their mind. And because they're in majority in certain parts of Nigeria, they think that they can get away with anything. And this is why, today, I think that is important as Black community, we also begin to, focus on the case of Mubarak, because very often, let's say in the United States, in Britain, Muslims are in the minority, and they will always present themselves, oh, we are being profiled, oh, we are being hated, oh, we are being persecuted. But that's because they are in the minority. Now, go and look at countries where they're in the majority. And even in Nigeria, where they're not actually the majority in other parts, only in a few states. And life is turning Talibanic almost in those areas. So what am I trying to say? It is important that we begin to speak as a Black community and draw attention of our different communities to how Islam is being used to deny basic human rights, to deny people life, and all that. And they are keeping quiet. Like now, I've been trying to talk to a lot of Muslim organizations in Britain to, please, can you speak to your colleagues here that this doesn't speak well of your religion? They keep quiet. They don't want to speak. And that is one of the things we could do. We can leverage on as an international, free thought movement by trying to persuade Muslims in some of these areas to begin to look at these issues as a global problem. It's not just a Nigerian problem. So we are trying to make movements. We are trying to see how we can appeal the case. We are trying to see how he can get pardoned. We are trying also to see how, the Muslim community could distance themselves from a judgment that reinforces the notion that Islam is is intolerant. And in Islamic religion as practiced in Nigeria is almost a dead cause and all that. So it's important we begin to use that case to see how we can, begin to push and persuade not just Muslims in Nigeria, but around the globe to begin a process of distancing themselves from these vicious forms of extremisms.
And I'd just like to say that from the point of view of the Association of Black Humanists, we want to keep the focus very much on what is happening to Mubarak Bala. So we're having a Taisholerin Day celebration on the 20th of August of this month. And yes, we want to give an award to Mubarak Bala as being a Humanist of the Year, just to keep that focus on his case, because as Dr. Leo said, this is a very unwelcome development, and it's very sad that it should be happening in a country like Nigeria, which tries in all sorts of other ways to say that, okay, we are part of the modern 21st century. And when we actually look back at the history of Nigeria with Dr. Taisholerin, he was one of the heroes of trying to get people to see that religion is not actually doing us any good. One of his quotes is that in Nigeria we are dying of religion. It's not actually doing us any good at all. It's harming us. It's harming our youth coming up. It's harming the country. It's harming the relationship between different groups in the country. There's almost nothing positive that one can say comes out of religion. People are fleeced all the time by these in the Christian sects, by preachers who have this prosperity gospel. They are happy to take your money, ride around in private jets and live in big houses, and their congregations have next to nothing, but they don't care about that. So there's all sorts of different things, harms which are coming out of religion, and we need to get some focus on it, and so that we can hopefully do something about it.
Yeah, we definitely do. Is there anything as outsiders, as people sort of outside of the UK area and also outside of Nigeria that we can do for Mubarak? Is there a petition? Is there literally like anything BN can do, anything we can do with this current platform that could help that situation?
I think having this discussion is a huge contribution to it, because what I discussed it with Dr. Igwe about, there's a lack of platform for free thought within Nigeria. You have so many. They now have so many podcasts. They have so many social media platforms. They have TV stations, newspapers. Yet everything is occupied. Every inch of every space in Nigeria is dominated by religion. I don't think if you are not from Nigeria or from Africa, it's very, very difficult to comprehend the extent of the imposition of religion in every space. So discussing this, and then hopefully people listening to it and sharing, what we are discussing here is a big contribution, because exposure for the rest of the world to know what is going on in Nigeria is important. Not because sometimes, people, and I do feel it, that why am I talking about Nigeria in a negative way? No, I'm very proud of to be a Nigerian, and I'm very, very proud of Nigerians. And I want people to understand, this religion thing, it is not just religion on its own. It is how religion, the problem that I hope that Dr. Leo, Dr. Igwe will correct me or add to what I'm saying. The reason why religion has become such a force in a way that is beyond comprehension is because of government. The government is not providing good education, not providing electricity, not providing health, not providing the services that people need. What is providing? In Nigeria, religion has taken over education. Religion has taken over health system. Religion has taken over employment situation. Religion, do you know what? Even entertainment industry. They are funding films. They are funding music. They are funding everything. And when your livelihood is tied into religion, how are you going to question your daily bread? How are you going to think? How are you going to ask anything about any prophet? Your life depends on it. And this is where, so when we talk about religion, actually, we're actually talking about the criticism is not so much about religion as much as we are criticizing the leaders in Africa. It's because of their negligence. And religion is some atheists, they ridicule religion. And I always say religion is one of the smartest things. It's a smart engine. It moves in quickly where there is lack. It's very opportunistic. It moves in very fast into where wherever they see that humans are vulnerable, wherever they see that humans are in need, they move in. Unfortunately, they don't move in for moving in sake. It is not good for goodness sake. They move in to recruit and to have hold on people. So that is the state of things. I am very, very proud of Nigerians. They are making the best. I don't know how people do it. I don't know how people do it. They are making the best of the little that they have, and they are doing great with it. Can you imagine if we have that freedom of thinking? If we are not enslaved by superstitious belief, can you imagine where Africa will be today? Can you begin to imagine? So it is the only thing that we have. We cannot do much. We don't have the money that religion has. Religion has so much money to be in control of the media. They are, you cannot, as much as religion is very powerful in the States, with their lobbying and everything. As powerful as religion is in the state, forget it. Try in you have presidents of the country going before religious leaders, kneeling before them, having their approval. If you don't have the backing of a religious leader, you are nowhere. So they are in bed together, not for the good of the people, but for the destruction of. I feel guilty when I say this, because where do you send people to? Sometimes one of the greatest fears that I have is when I'm having a discussion with a believer and then they are agreeing with me, I start feeling guilty. I start feeling guilty that if I take this from this person, what am I going to give them? I don't have much, but still, this free thinking, our mind, if I'm correct, they said we are apes of the mind or something along that line. You know, our mind is our everything. And
Right.
if this superstitious belief is being made to be dominant in our thought that we can't even question, when you cannot even question, you know, where you cannot ask questions, like the girl, the student that was killed. You know, this thing about freedom of thought, it is not about atheists, it's not about humanists. It is for the benefit of everyone. Those who are suffering the most, actually, they tend to be believers. This girl that was killed in the north was a Christian. She believed, she respected Islam. And then because she said, can we use this forum for our education? That was all she asked. Can we just use this forum for learning and not for religion? She was killed for that, beaten to death.
Yeah, you made a lot of good points. Religion is definitely very opportunistic. I know it's very difficult for you, but I don't think you should feel guilty. It can be weird to if someone's agreeing with your points as a humanist, as an atheist, it can sort of feel weird. But at the end of the day, if what you're saying is what you believe to be the truth, they're out there saying what they believe to be the truth. I think you have every right to do the same. So I appreciate everything you guys do for the cause. You're leading the fight. Before we wrap it up, did I want to give a chance? If any want to go and start with Leo, you want to? Is there anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah. Well, what am I going to say? But we have to keep on. We have to keep the struggle going. There's work. There's work to do, and like Tai Sholari, we have to cultivate what I call 3 virtues that speaks to the African humanist situation, and one of them is defiance. Yes, that's what Tai Sholari did. They sent her. They posted him to a school and said he should matching them every morning for this collective worship. He stopped. So we have to learn to defy some of these authorities. Yes. Second one, resistance. We have to resist them using all civilized means, because that is how we can translate, some of our values now into mechanisms to stop them from actually, destroying us. So that we can't just allow them. Like Mubarak, we will keep campaigning and we'll keep challenging, we keep questioning, we keep lobbying to make sure he's released. Third, I call it affirmation. He did not just defy the authorities, stop taking the children for collective worship. What he did was to start a Mayflower School. So we also need to come up with projects that speaks to our values, projects that encapsulates our values. So that's what I call, I think that if we'll use defiance, use resistance, and use affirmation in our work and everyday struggle, we will begin to see some light. And we will continue the legacy left behind by Tai Sholari.
That's great. Lola, any last words, anything you want to leave people with?
Yeah, I think what I want to say, I will want Dr. Tai Sholari to be celebrated, not just by Association of Black Humanists, but humanists around the world. 20th of August. I want this to be promoted. I will appreciate if your organization promotes it, and you too, you celebrate it the way you can on the 20th of August. The reason why I have to say this, in the UK, we have Voltaire Day. If you go and look at the history, and sometimes I just wonder, yes, we can celebrate certain historic figures for what they've done, for the good thing that they've done. But at the same time, we need to respect, the minority amongst us. A lot of things that Voltaire said about Black people, I find it hard to get my head round why any humanist organization in modern times will celebrate. And if they want to celebrate him, fine. Celebrate his good work, but emphasize what is also said. and always say what is said about Black people was wrong. People will say, oh, that was, how they thought at that time, that we cannot judge people of the past by our modern standard. It has always been wrong. Whatever is said about Black people was never right. It hurt people. It's still why we have racism. So it was never correct at the time, and it's not correct now. So we have a Black hero, and it was not just a hero to Black people, it was actually a world person, a world standard person. And I will appreciate if all humanists, whether you are Black, whatever you are, to celebrate the 20th of August, for different humanist and atheist organizations around the world to acknowledge a Black atheist hero.
Yes, definitely. And Clive, any last words you want to leave us with as far as the organization, or anything you'd like anyone to know about what's going on in the state of Black atheism and belief today?
Well, I just have to echo to some extent what Dr. Leo Igwe and Lola Tinubu have said, that about Taisholorin. He was born on 20th of August 1922, so today would have been his 100th birthday, or rather this year would have been his 100th birthday. And he really is a figure that is worth celebrating. We are very quick to join in when they say come and celebrate Voltaire, or come and celebrate Newton, or come and celebrate Darwin, but we have our own Black heroes, and we need to elevate them to the same kind of position and that these other names get, and this is a person who really truly does deserve to be heard about, and more people should know about him. He's a humanist in every sense of the word. He really, even in those days when it was not safe at all, he would stand up to the governments of the day, and he was locked up in jail many times, sometimes for several months, even more than a year. And still, he would come out and he would be still castigating the regimes of the day, because they were really so corrupt in some senses, in financial mismanagement of the country's resources, and also they were talking about promoting religion at every twist and turn. So he was solidly against that, and on top of that, he started a school, Mayflower School, which is run on humanist lines, and that sort of thing is not just somebody who sits down and just just makes himself a nuisance. No, he did positive things, which has left a lasting legacy to this very day, and this is somebody that's worth celebrating, because he really is a proper humanist, a true humanist in every sense of the word. So I just want to add to that and say that we need to mount campaigns to get him better known around the world, not just in Africa, but around the world.
Definitely. I want to thank all of you so much. Clive, Lola, Dr. Igwe, I want to thank you all so much for being on the show today. Of course, you're all from the Association of Black Humanists. We'll have that up on the screen for everyone. I really appreciate you being on the show today, and look forward to seeing you in the future and working with you on just making everything you've talked about more well-known and getting some activism going on these issues. But I really appreciate you all being on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. You all have a good evening. All right. All right. So I'm going to bring back Tina real quick. Hey, Tina, what's going on? Oh, you're muted. There you go.
Oh, there I go. Okay. It was a great talk. Great talk. I learned a lot of things. Yeah. I think as a community worldwide, we need to stand up for all of us, not just some of us, and not just some of us. And it's a great talk.
Definitely. Before we go, was there anything you wanted to say before we wrap it up and get into announcements?
No, I just no, I don't have anything. Does Portland have anything? Be in Portland?
Oh, my light. Horrible
Latanya?
light. Latanya. Let's bring up
Latanya, did you?
Latanya is off
She's
screen.
off screen. Okay.
We'll say we'll cover all bases.
Okay.
Check out your local BN affiliate to see what's going on, what's coming up. New York, we're going to Smorgasburg next weekend, the 13th, Saturday 13th. It's the largest open air food market in the country. We've been there once last year. It's really cool. It's a bit hipster, but it's really cool. Some outdoor foods and some hanging out. So join us for that in New York. Check us out on meetup.com. Look for all of our groups on meetup.com. If that's all, I'm going to get to some quick announcements. Cool. So I did want to thank, before I get to that, I did want to thank our guests for being on and please follow the Association of Black Humanists on Twitter at AB Humanists. And that's at AB Humanists on Twitter. And please join their meetup group. We'll have that link up there for you. It's in the chat, but we'll have it up on the screen in a second. Also, you be sure to check out the Where We're Headed podcast. That's a production of our Washington, D.C. affiliate. It's one of the best podcasts out there. I assure you, you can check that out at wwh.podbean.com. That's WWH as in Where We're Headed. Podbean.com. We'll have that link up for you in a second as well. We, of course, want to let you know about what else is going on. Mandisa, the great Mandisa Thomas, will be speaking with the Humanists and Free Thinkers of Fairfield County on August 8th. That's coming up at 7 p.m. Eastern time. This will be her 5th time speaking with them. I was actually there back in 2019. So it'll be for her 5th time speaking with them. You can sign up for free with the link we're going to post in the chat in a second. So check that out. That's August 8th at 7 p.m. Humanists and Free Thinkers of Hartford County. Mandisa will also be speaking with Arizona State University's Project Humanities and programs on Tuesday. And that's coming up on Thursday, August 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So that's Arizona University's Project for Humanities this Thursday, August 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. This will be a virtual event and free for everyone to attend. You can sign up with the link that we'll have in the chat in a second. Okay, and if you're in the Louisville area on August 11th, and join the local BN group for a hangout at Groove, that's GRUV. We'll have that link as well for you in the chat in a second. Our Washington, D.C. affiliate, the crew will be at Hip Hop Black Party at the National Museum for African American Culture on Saturday, August 13th. Be sure to join them. That's our Washington, D.C. group. They have a meetup coming up next Saturday, August 13th at the National Museum for African American Culture. We'll have that link up for you in a second. On August 19th, join the Charlotte group for karaoke night. As Tina was saying, please RSVP with the link below and go hang out with the wonderful Tina. In Atlanta on August 21st, join the Midtown Bowl for some bowling action. That's our Atlanta group run by Mandisa Thomas herself. We'll have that link up in just a second. Also, join the New York City group. That's my group. If you're in the area, we're going to be tabling at New Jersey Pride, which is coming up on August 27th. It's going to be in New Jersey, just across the bridge. You can take the path to get there. We'll have that link up for you in a second. That's New Jersey Pride coming up on August 27th. And as I mentioned before, Women of Color Beyond Belief is approaching. Be sure to buy tickets. It's coming up in Chicago on September 30th through October 2nd. Speakers include Sunny Secular, Cynthia McDonald, Nadia Dutchin, Sandria Hall, and more. Student discounts are available. And of course, we're still open for sponsorships on that opportunity. So check that out at the link we'll have for you below. Last but not least, we're in the final stretch for BNCCon registrations. Join us for fun and an educational time on board the Carnival Spirit. That's coming up this November 26th through December 3rd. You can also sponsor this event. We'll have that link up there. So join us if you want to go for a little cruise, hang out for a week. I'll be there. Tina will be there. Mandisa. It'll be a great time. So join us for that. And that wraps up our show. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back soon. Just remember that we're here every first and third Saturday of the month. Please don't forget to like this video and spread the word. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at BlackNonbelievers, on Instagram at BNonbelievers Inc., and on Twitter at BNonbelievers. The B and the N are capitalized. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, find your local BN affiliate, and join. And finally, learn more and make a tax-deductible donation at blacknonbelievers.org/donate. Thank you for everyone for supporting our summer fundraising drive. And if you want to represent BN, you can get our swag with us, including our t-shirts, our hoodies, mugs, shot glasses. I have a couple of shot glasses myself. So check that out at our merch store. We'll have the BN link for that store in the chat as well. I want to thank everybody for joining today. It's always great to come to you with these interviews of what's going on in our community. I do appreciate you watching, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks. Thanks. Bye.